What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? You're listening to the Demon Slayer Planet podcast on the Daily Planet. I'm your host, BrianFord16, and in this episode, I'm going to be reviewing the latest Demon Slayer Planet episode, Aren't You Going to Be a Hashira? You don't want to miss this. Welcome back to the Demon Slayer Planet podcast. I'm your host, BrianFord16 of the Daily Planet, and if you are new to this channel or viewing it on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube page, and if you're listening to this podcast on a platform like Spotify, Apple, or iHeartRadio, please subscribe as it will help me gain more views and listeners. Okay, now let's get to the Demon Slayer episode, Aren't You Going to Be a Hashira? We take a very palpable look in Genya Shinazugawa's traumatic childhood that he shared with his brother Sanemi, who happens to be the Wind Hashira, and what caused an unfortunate rift between the two and molded the Demon Slayer to who he is today. Now let's go into the recap. The episode starts off with where the bright red sword left off, with Genya appearing more demonic and feral. Tanjiro, wounded, shocked, and confused, is wondering what happened to his fellow Demon Slayers, after they attacked the emotional demon clones of Upper 4. Tanjiro discovers that there's a fifth demon lurking about, despite his red sword ability neutralizing the Upper 4 demons. He deduces that there is a fifth demon thanks to his sense of smell. However, Genya wants to kill the Upper 4 demon for himself, so that way he can not only slay the demon for himself though, but also become a Hashira, and just like his brother Sanemi. Tanjiro, being the gregarious and kind-hearted character that he is, tells Genya that he and Nezuko will give him their full support on Genya's request to become Hashira. Genya is hilariously touched by Tanjiro's kindness, and the Demon Slayers make a plan to find the demon so that way they can slay it. Tanjiro goes to find the fifth demon while Genya and Nezuko keep the other 4 demons busy. While Tanjiro spots the fifth demon with his strong sense of smell, Genya is tasked with finding the fifth demon, which turns out to be a diminutive being. Even worse, the demon turns out to be an indestructible when Genya tries to behead it with his Nichirin sword, and also tries to shoot it with his Nichirin shotgun. Now, as Genya is confused, the anger demon uses this opportunity to attack Genya, who begins to ruminate on his turbulent childhood with his brother, the Wind Hashira Sanemi. He remembers the resilient woman that his mother was before she tragically became a demon and had to be put down by Sanemi. He also regrets calling Sanemi a murderer for killing his mother, after the mother killed all of their siblings. So back in the present day, before he could be finished off by the anger demon of Upper 4, Tanjiro rescues him and encourages him to never give up and to fight on, and that he will become a Hashira. However, the sorrowful demon gravely injures Genya, who, emboldened by Tanjiro's words, chooses to fight on despite his injury. Now, as Tanjiro finds the fifth demon, he decides to make his move by using Sun Breathing or Higo Kagura to finish off the diminutive clone of Upper 4. And that pretty much ends the episode. Now I'm going to share with you what I liked about this episode. Now, one of the good things about this episode, or one of the highlights of this episode, I should say, was Genya's childhood unraveling. Now, this one was a very emotional episode since it involved a lot of trauma. And we learned why Genya is basically the character that he is, and it's due to his traumatic upbringing. His father was a real bully and would often take his anger out on his children. But his mother was very resilient. Despite her short and small stature, would protect Genya and his siblings by using her body to shield them from their father's attacks. It is here that Genya narrates that his father was eventually stabbed and killed, leaving his mother a widow and the rest of the children fatherless. And it is here where Genya and Sanemi vow to protect their family. What really amazed me about this arc was just that Genya was narrating the story, he's fighting the Upper 4 clones. But here's the actual thing. Genya is not just fighting for survival, he's also fighting for his brother's approval, and we can actually see why he wears a chip on his shoulder and why he's so hot-headed. And so his mission is just to defeat this upper rank demon, so that way he can ascend to the rank of Hashira and be up there with his brother, and not only that, but reconcile with his brother, since he called his brother Sanemi a murderer. So another thing I found interesting about Genya was his lack of breathing style. And while he has no breathing style, he's still a formidable demon slayer as he fights on with both a nutrient sword and a nutrient shotgun, which I thought was a really cool concept. And I'm actually rooting for Genya to survive this season and to finally make amends with his brother. That would be a really cool scene, actually, in my opinion. And one of the things I also like about the arc for Genya is that it adds another dimension to an otherwise hot-headed character who was at odds with Tanjiro during the final selection ceremony where the Demon Slayers are initiated. And I might even plan on doing an episode of the final selection since I feel it's a rather interesting ceremony to talk about. So another highlight of this episode would be the fifth demon, and I have to say that not only having a fifth demon of one who was diminutive and indestructible, it was a pretty clever element that they added to one of the 12 Kazuki demons that the Demon Slayers have to fight. It presents a new challenge to the Demon Slayer Corps, and while Tanjiro may have defeated two of the 12 Kazuki with the help of Zenitsu Agusama and Inosuke Hashimura, he had never actually defeated a demon quite like Upper 4. So now I'm going to go into the issues I had with this episode. So there weren't really a whole lot of issues with this episode. It's just that the only issue that I did have was Tokido's fight with Upper 5. It was only brief. We only see a brief glimpse of it. And basically Tokido's trapped in this water urn made by Upper 5. And it just, again, it leaves off from where Bright Red Sword went into, but it's only brief. And I feel like they didn't have to add that. I feel like they didn't have to add that whole scene. And you could probably save it for like a next or later, perhaps later episode, since I feel like this episode was very Genya heavy, but that's just my opinion. So now I'm going to go into the overall verdict of this episode. I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10, due to adding an unexpected dimension to Genya Shinazugawa's character by giving him a backstory. And the fifth demon was also a clever trick to show how challenging the demons of Musan's 12 Kazuki are. They're not like any of the demons that the Demon Slayer Corps typically face. Well, that's going to do it for this review. In this next episode, I will be reviewing Awful Villain, and I'm also going to start doing a little research on the final selection, so that way I can give you my view on what it's about. So it'll just be an episode exclusively on the final selection. So that's going to do it for this week's episode. If you like seeing this video or listening to this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, and comment on it, as it will help the Demon Slayer Planet podcast grow and get more reviews. Thank you so much for viewing and listening, and as I always say, stay ever so awesome. This is Brian Ford 16, signing out.